Hail and well met, wearied traveller. Welcome ye back to CX Riot Radio. It is I, El-Susir, the Mage Lord of Asandar, here to lead you on your path to customer experience enlightenment. Ye must be tired from your journey. Your boots and cloak are covered in dust and road waste. Come, take off your cloak, remove your boots, and sit here by the roaring hearth. Perhaps thou wouldst like a cup of coffee, perchance an energy drink, or do ye prefer a line or two, or dare I tempt thee? 3 of some pre-workout. Now, we will depart shortly, but for now, relax, gaze into the flames. Let us talk customer experience, contact centers, and company culture. Don't forget to buy David's new book, Otter, Over-the-Top Empathy and Rapport. It's on Amazon, and it's cheap. Link will be in the show notes. Let us reminisce upon the call centers of old. Multiple systems to navigate through. Bare bones call routing. Long hold queues. Only one way for the customer, that cherished being, to reach your hastily and half-trained agents. Outdated policies because ye and thy HR department could not be sussed to update them. A printed on paper, in a binder training manual, job aids and scripts. Scripts. Well, scripts in general. Ah, yes, you remember those days. The pang and pain of ugly nostalgia has reared its monstrous head. Some folk are still living like it were yesteryear right now. But to make it in the modern era, ye must advance. Not only your thinking and thy agent training, but thy policies and thy technology. Sit back, sip your drink, wipe your nose. Make sure you finish it all. Sometimes the poison sinks to the bottom. Just kidding. And roll that beautiful bean footage.
Hey, welcome back to CX Riot Radio, where we talk about customer experience and stuff still in a hyper-caffeinated state. I'm David, the Caffeinated CXO, and I'm your host here on CX Riot Radio. Because, before we begin, a little housekeeping. If you haven't already, or if you'd like to do it again, go ahead and like, subscribe, rate, comment, and share the show so we can make the show grow. That's what we're up to. That, and I just released a new book. It's called Otter. Otter stands for Over-the-Top Empathy and Rapport. It's on Amazon. I'm going to put a link down in the show notes. El-Susir already told you about it in the intro. But I'm going to tell you again. It's 99 cents for the Kindle version, and it's $4.07 American for the print copy. Why is it $4.07? Because that is literally the lowest Amazon would let me price it. That's right. I can't price it any less than that. Is it because the content is only worth that much? No. Much like everything else I do for CX Riot Radio and for the customer experience community, I do it for free. I'm not making a profit off of this book. I'm not making money. Well, okay. It's like 30 cents per book sold. Because that's the lowest that Amazon will do. So, if I could have it, it would be free and you can have your own copy. But it's not. Because Amazon don't play that way. And, I'm not made out of money. So it is what it is. Order a copy today. I'll love you a long time. And stuff. So, today, after I have some of this pre-workout, we're going to talk about, is your call center living in the past? Is your call center outdated? Let's find out. I want you to ask yourself a series of questions. Do your customers have long wait times, and do they request the same information over and over and over again? That's one question. That's really two questions, but we're going to count it as one. Do you have limited communication channels? Can they only reach you by phone? Is that the only way? Are you one of those old school call centers who are just voice only? Chances are you're not. But do you only have two ways for people to get in touch with you? Are you... what would that be? That'd be weird. Like just a chat bot and voice, right? Are you that? Or are you multi-channel? Are you omni-channel? Most companies who say they're omni-channel are not omni-channel, they are multi-channel. And that's okay. It is what it is. You can call yourself whatever you want. But are you multi-channel? Are you omni-channel? Or are you one channel? Bi-channel? Would that be two? Or I don't know. So that's a good question. You should at least strive to be multi-channel. Have multiple ways for customers to reach you when they need to. Right? Whether that be voice or chat or SMS or social media pages. Right? I'm not going to go as far as to say like smoke signals or anything like that. But, you want your customers to be able to reach them, to reach you. And then you want to respect the channel of their choice. If they called in on the phone, keep them on the phone. Don't be, I'll email that to you. Or let's jump over to chat. Right? And vice versa. If they come in over text or chat, don't ask them to call you. No, that's disrespectful and that is rude. And don't do that. Forgot to put my little thing in. So, anyway. Is there poor call routing? Are you not using skills-based call routing? Are you going to most idle? Or do you not just have something in place? Are you using SimRing, where it rings to everybody at once? Now, I will say this about SimRing. Depending on the culture and the nature of your call center, SimRing is really good for gamification. However, it can cause calls to drop. It can cause things to happen that you don't want to happen. It can also make it so that one person who might not even be your best person is taking the most calls, right? Because they're just fast. Because they're rushing through to get the next one. So their little call count number looks really big at the end of their shift. Not great. Not the best use of time. That's a little bit of that false hustle. Thomas Laird of the Call Center Geek calls it false hustle. That's all that is. What you want, ideally, is skills-based routing. So the people who are the best, and the best is however you define your KPIs, right? The people who are the best are taking the most calls. And then you can have specialty queues, right? Where people who are really great at taking this kind of call get those kind of calls, depending on how the customer went through the IVR that you have or through your AI voice bot thing that seems to getting more and more popular, and let's face it, more and more better as time goes on. So, then there's are your agents incredibly inefficient? Do they struggle to access customer information because they're toggling through 3, 4, 5, even 6 systems just to get pertinent customer information? If that's what's going on, you need to fix that. You should have one CRM. One, where everything is housed. So, how do you fix this stuff? Well, I like to say it was easy. It is simple, but it's not easy. Because you also have to factor cost into this, right? So if you're a one channel, mono channel call center, you're just taking calls, right? It might cost a little bit of money to become a multi-channel, right? You have to set up the chat. You have to pay people to monitor the chat. Because should you have people who are answering the phone and answering chats be the same role at the same time? That seems a little weird, right? You probably want to use an Erlang C calculator to get the right staffing. And then +1, just in case, right? And it doesn't matter how much shrinkage you put in to the Erlang C, something's bound to happen, especially right now where everybody's getting sick. School's back in session. Schools are cesspits of germs and gross, and people are getting sick, especially if they have kids. So it is what it is. Now, here are some strategies of stuff you can do, right? To bring your call center into the now. Into the now. You can implement AI and automation. Right there, right off the bat, it's okay. You can use AI chatbots. Those are okay, right? Just have it be robust enough where it can detect customer sentiment and will allow your agents and your employees to take over the chat if necessary, right? So have a Q&A section on your website where customers can look up frequently asked questions, and that way they don't have to not bother, but call in, right? Freeing up your customer service reps to take the more important calls like sales, right? So another thing could be to adopt cloud-based stuff, right? So yeah, we all know about the cloud. Most of us do anyway. And then have a good CRM. Centralized all the customer data so they don't have to toggle between 8 different screens or 8 different systems. That's crazy. When I started in the call center business, right, all those years ago, I'm talking the late 90s, we had 4 or 5 different systems that we had to look up. Some of them were even in like DOS. What's up with that? That's nuts. You don't want to do that. You improve call routing with AI or use skills-based call routing. That's the best way of doing it. So focus on agent training and empowerment because, well, you should always be training your employees no matter what. Now, this doesn't have to be, hey, everybody off the floor, we're going to go through a training module. No, this can be spot training. This can be flash training, right? Where you just implement things and you announce things with a job aid or a video or something like that, that they can watch in like a minute, right? Think TikTok style videos that gives a new piece of information, and this new information builds on itself, right? So each one that you release will build on the previous one while still being its own little training session. It's really easy to do, especially if you have a phone or if you have CapCut, right, which is free. So 11 Labs, if you don't want to use your own voice, which is also free, up to 10,000 characters, I think, per thing, or yeah, it's fine. So per month there's lots of things. You can even put music on it. You can make your own music using Suno. There's a ton of stuff you can do. You can make little training songs with Suno. Now, to be fair, I used to have a subscription to Suno, but then I found I wasn't really using it that much, and now I mostly use it to make agendas for meetings, and that's pretty fun. But you can definitely use it for training. I've used it for a couple training videos as well, right? And so it is what it is. Um, so you also probably want to update and modernize your policies, right? Um, so here's a couple policies, right, that might slow you down. So having no, there's a lot of policies that can slow things down, right? Whether it be through overbearing compliance or script adherence, right, where you have to read all this legalese verbatim, right? Now, I understand in some industries that you still need that, right? Credit card processing, but like, who's calling to like activate a credit card anymore? That's crazy. All right, I'm sure there's still some, but I remember when I had to do it, there was like 15 pages of verbatim legalese, and it would change every so often so that you couldn't memorize it. It was annoying. So, you want to have robust and your CRM good enough where you don't have to toggle through screens, tabs, little segments, right, to get all the pertinent information. You should have a snapshot of the customer, snapshot of work that you've done or products that you've sold them on one screen, right? Right when their stuff comes up. And if you have an IVR that asks for their account number, but it doesn't transfer the account number over to the agent, what are you doing? What is this? This is crazy. You should be ashamed of yourself, honestly. Because, come on, nobody likes that. The customer hates it. The employee hates it. Everybody hates it. It's cringe. So, have all that stuff. And then have your employees cross-trained to answer multiple questions, right? If you have someone that's calling in for tech support, but they also have a billing question, they should not have to wait on hold to reach the billing department after their tech support was done, or vice versa, right? The employee should be able to help on both fronts. That goes without saying. That goes without question. That goes without anything else at all. It's so weird that there's actually places that still do that, that have silos. So you also want your employees to be able to resolve issues efficiently. So that's it. That's that point. All right. So you want, again, I can't repeat this enough. Skills-based routing. Have the majority of the calls go to the right people for that kind of call. I mean, it's common sense, but as the old saying goes, common sense just ain't that common. I read that in a book somewhere. So, and then all of this stuff boils down to one thing, and that is customer effort. The more effort that a customer has to put into doing business with you, the less business they're going to do with you. They're going to go for the easier, more convenient option, even if that option is a bit more expensive than you. That's all there is to it. Make things easy. And how do you make things easy? You go on the back end. Right? You strip things down and simplify things on the back end. A lot of that is going to be policy and technology improvements. And don't worry about the cost. The cost is going to level out as long as you do it right. And you realize that your team is a lot more efficient. Hell, you might even need less of them. you might need to pivot some people into different roles because you've routed the calls in a certain way where not as many of them are coming through, or they're using self-serve options, and you might want to pivot some of the people on your team to do outbound outreach, right? Outbound sales. You might want to put them on chat or digital channels, right? Depending on their competency and what they're good at, right? If you have someone that kind of sucks at inbound calling, they might, because they have no patience, or they let's say you just hired them for the wrong role, right? They have no patience. They love upselling even when it's not appropriate. You might want to get them to be outbound sales, right? Just saying. There's usually a place for everyone, and that's okay. Might not be what they were hired for, but if there's a space on the bus that they can fit, move their seat on the bus. Now, there are always those circumstances where they don't need to be on your bus. It's okay. Like, and I know this is a controversial example, but look at what Elon Musk did with Twitter, right? They laid off 75-80% of their staff, right? Was that the right move? I don't know. I barely use Twitter or X or whatever it's called now. But if they were able to lay off 75% of their staff and they're still there, right? And by they I mean the company is still there and it's still working with only minor hiccups, which honestly probably would have happened if those 80% were still there. I don't know. What I'm saying is that layoff should be the last resort. Once all other things have, been exhausted, then you can look at that. But there's way too many of them right now, and it's disgusting. And I know some of it's a correction from the pandemic, but still. And here's another thing, a warning. And I know I talked about AI and automation before, but just remember that stuff is there to augment your employees, to make their jobs a little easier so they can focus on more complex issues. It is not a replacement for your employees. Period. It is there as a tool for them to be better at their job, to be more efficient at their job. It is not there to replace them without backfilling. It is what it is. It was what it was, and it will be what it will be. And so, with that being said, move your call center into the present. In fact, you can move your call center a little bit into the future if you wanted, right? Just don't be dumb about it. Don't be stupid. That's all I gotta say. I'll see you guys next time on CX Riot Radio. Bye.